Hello, at-home learners. Today's lesson is about multiplying decimals by powers of 10 or multiples of 10. So we have 10, 100, and 1,000. These are not decimals. I know we're going to start with whole numbers. So hopefully you remember from previous grade levels that when we multiply by 10, we're actually adding a place value because our number system is based on the number 10, and so every time you move to the next place value is worth 10 times as much. So if I have the number 11, this one is worth 10 times as much as this one because this is in the tens place. If I make it 111, 100 is worth 10 times as much as this one in the tens place, which is worth 10 times as much. You get the idea. Everything is times 10. So if I do 8 times 10, I know I'm moving the 8 to the tens place, and I can just put a 0 for my placeholder in the ones place. So if I'm going to take 8 and multiply it times 100, which is the same thing as multiplying it by 10 twice, I would get 800. If I take 8 and I multiply it by 1,000, I get 8,000 because this is like taking 8 and multiplying it by 10, multiplying it by 10 again, multiplying by 10 a third time. So I end up with 8,000. Another reason this works, or another way to kind of show this, is it's like we're moving the decimal on the 8. So if I'm doing 8 times 10, it's like my decimal, I'm actually going to scoot that over, sorry. It's like my decimal is moving over one place. And so if the decimal's here instead of here, then I need a number, I need a placeholder here, and it becomes 80. Or if I'm doing times 100, I know my decimal, which is hiding here in the back always, is going to swoop over two places. It's no longer here, it's going to be here, and I need two placeholder zeros here. And finally, if the decimal were here and I swoop it 3 times because I'm doing times 1,000, then I'm going to end up with 2 or 3 zeros here, a decimal here, a comma here, because we put a comma every 3 digits to make it easier to read, so 8,000. So that works either way. Now, it gets a little tricky because when you're multiplying with decimals, you can't just add a 0 to the end. If I had 4 and 2/10 times 10, if I just added a 0 to the end, I would get 4 and 20 hundredths, which is the same value as 4 and 2/10. So I can't just add a 0. I don't get the same, I don't increase the value by 10. So we're going to use the swooping the decimal method. So how many times would I swoop it when I'm multiplying by 10? Only one time. So it's going to land back here, which is going to give us 42. And we don't usually write the decimal to the right if the 2 is the last digit, if that's the ones place, we don't usually write it. It's understood. So if I had 4 and 2/10 times 100, I would need to move the decimal 2 places, and that's going to give me 420. It's the decimal ends up here, and I have to put in a 0 here. And finally, if I have 4 and 2/10 times 1,000, I'm going to swoop 3 times, and the decimal is no longer here. I have to put 2 placeholders here, so I'm going to rewrite it where it's easier to see, and I get 4,200. Okay, so hopefully we're understanding that it's all about swooping the decimals. If you're multiplying by 10, you swoop once. If you're multiplying by 100, you swoop twice. If you're multiplying by 1,000, you swoop 3 times. Let's look at some trickier ones. What if I had 6 hundredths? What if I did that times 10? My decimal's going to swoop one time, and it's going to land, okay, right there. It's there after the decimal is a 0 and a 6. In front of the decimal is 0. It'd be really weird to put 2 zeros in front. We just don't do that. We only put 1. We only need 1 placeholder, not 2. All right, and 0.006 or 6 thousandths times 100. How many times am I going to swoop? Twice. 1, 2. It's going to land between this 0 and this 6. So we end up with 6/10. If I take 6 thousandths again and multiply it by 1,000, I'm going to swoop that decimal 3 times. It's going to land behind the 6, and I just end up with 6 holes. Okay, so that is how you multiply decimal numbers by multiples of 10, 10, 100, and 1000. Thank you for watching, and go find today's assignment in Math Canvas modules 10, 19, 20, and you will see the practice multiplying Kami assignment that you can practice there. Oh, don't do number 7 and number 8. We don't have what we need to do those, but if you could go ahead and do 1 through 6, and then 8 through, I don't know, let's say 8 through 13, and then go ahead and submit that Kami assignment. Thank you so much.